now like to introduce Professor Nicholas Farrelly, who's also from the Australian-ASEAN Council Board, and he's the Head of Social Sciences here at the University of Tasmania. So Professor Farrelly joined the University of Tasmania in January 2020, and here he leads a vibrant multidisciplinary academic team within the School of Social Sciences. In his own research, he specialises in the study of political, economic and cultural issues with a focus on rapidly changing Southeast Asian societies. Professor Farrelly is a graduate of the Australian National University and the University of Oxford, and previously held key leadership positions in the ANU College of Asia and the Pacific. From 2017 to 2019, he was the Associate Dean responsible for engagement across government, business and civil society. Professor Farrelly is a graduate of the Australian Institute of Company Directors and a Senior Fellow of the Higher Education Academy. Professor Farrelly, thank you.
Thanks very much, Professor Cuskelly, and thank you very much to everybody for joining us today. It's a huge privilege for me to be here in both my capacity, like Tamerlane Beasley, as a member of the board of the Australia-ASEAN Council, and also in my role here at the University of Tasmania as the head of the School of Social Sciences. I want to begin by highlighting my enthusiasm for what we're doing here. This has been, I know, a huge effort from colleagues across the School of Education over the past year. Bringing together this series of webinar forums has been a huge investment of time and energy, collaboration and inspiration. And I think that a word that's already been used a few times this afternoon is apt. I'm inspired to see well over 100 of you joining us around this Zoom room today, and knowing that there are 300 academics, teachers and researchers from all countries across ASEAN joining us in this program is a sign of the times. Times that, as Tamerlane has just highlighted, have tested us. There's no doubt about it. We have all needed to adjust ourselves to make the most of these new technologies and the opportunities that come with them. And yet, I think we can all feel a sense of accomplishment to know that so many societies around the world have proved so resilient in terms of the education that we can deliver to our young people, particularly at a time of such upheaval, is yet again a sign of our shared humanity and our shared commitment to doing better. Here in Tasmania, and as you just heard, I've only been here for 18 months, which means that my entire experience of our University of Tasmania has been shaped by our pandemic response. And yet there have been some opportunities already to engage with colleagues from across the ASEAN region from my new base here in Hobart. Earlier this year, it's worth noting that the board of the Australia-ASEAN Council welcomed the heads of mission, so that means ambassadors and high commissioners from the 10 ASEAN countries for a face-to-face in-person visit here on our Tasmanian island. It was remarkable for us that this was possible. And it was also special because of the way that it highlighted yet again the value of close people-to-people links between Australia and our friends across the ASEAN region. Of course, that particular set of engagements and interactions are still relatively rare. What we have instead, of course, are these Zoom rooms and all of those other technologies that Tamerlane highlighted, which we have sought to use as effectively as possible over this difficult period. The fact that this webinar is going to draw on insight and experience from across ASEAN is, I think, in the very best tradition of the kinds of relationships that our academic institutions are here to curate and to grow. And so I'd like to end by also congratulating the team involved in organising this event. They've done a splendid job. From the perspective of the Australia-ASEAN Council Board, this is exactly the kind of activity that makes it all worthwhile. And the fact that we have 117 participants from so many different places, so many corners of this region joining us today is a great credit to everybody who has drawn this together. Noting that we're all in different places, I just wanted to end perhaps by highlighting that this is our place here in Hobart. And if we were under other circumstances, what we would do, of course, is fly around the world and meet each other face to face. And because we can't do that, I'm just going to lift my camera up. And for those of you who've never been here to Tasmania, this is the view out across the Derwent River and back into my office here, and an indication of this place. We know that you're all proud of your own places. We're excited that you can join us today with these miraculous technologies. We wish you well in all of your work, and I certainly hope that this webinar series goes incredibly smoothly over the months to come. Thanks again, everybody, for having me involved.
Thank you, Professor Farrelly, for the enthusiasm and best wishes.